we go. So, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Shift Book Club. I'm Sam Baker, and I'm thrilled to be here by popular demand, Lisa, not me, with the New York Times and Sunday Times #1 bestseller, Lisa Jewell, to talk about this month's book club pick, The Utterly Skincrawly, Don't Let Him In. Lisa's been a household name for over 25 years when her debut novel, Ralph's Party, was published to instant acclaim. It was the book of the moment, and for 14 novels, it looked like Lisa's career, whilst ticking along extremely nicely by most people's standards, would never hit those heights again. Then Lisa's writing took a turn for the sinister, and her career experienced not so much a second wind as a second tornado. Her sinister thriller, And Then She Was Gone, hit the top of the bestseller lists both sides of the Atlantic, and she hasn't looked back. She's sold over 10 million copies. That number's probably out of date since
It's
I got this
15
proof.
now,
50,
apparently.
oh my God,
Apparently it's
15.
15. Yeah.
I'm still reading the proof, you see. They were too tight to send me a finished copy. She's sold over 15 million copies, been published in more than 30 languages, and Don't Let Him In is her 23rd book. It went straight into the top 10 when it was published back in June. And I know that you've all been reading it and loving it, except Zoe, all month. As usual, if you're watching live, post your questions and comments as you think of them, and we'll discuss them as we go, because this is your book club after all. But thanks for coming to Shift Book Club, Lisa. You made a lot of people very, very happy.
Oh, well, I'm so very, very flattered to have been a special request. So thank you for having me and thank you for asking for me.
Well, we do these Thursday night, first Thursday of the month, or is it first Tuesday? First Tuesday
Tuesday,
chat.
it's definitely Tuesday.
Yeah, we do these first Tuesday chats. And I just said, and while we were doing it, I just said, oh, who would you like to see? And you were like, a no-brainer. Oh, well, I'm going to start with someone else's question because we've already got a question from Vicky, who I know is a mega, mega, mega fan. And she says she's read all of your books and her husband reads them too, which is, I think, Vicky, tell me if I'm wrong, this is quite a big deal because it wasn't a big reader, but I might be muddling in with someone else. So what happened to make you move? Yeah, that is right. What happened to make you move from romantic comedy to thriller?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I sat down to write Ralph's Party, I found the synopsis for it last year when I was looking for something in my scrapbooks. I found the synopsis for Ralph's Party that I sent out in the late 90s with the first three chapters of Ralph's Party.
When you
And
could sell a book on a partial.
well, you shouldn't have. I kind of, you're not supposed to do that, really, and not particularly as a debut, like complete nobody writer. Um, but I did do that, and thank God I did do that. And I don't think none of this would have happened to me if I'd actually tried to write a book before I got an agent. But I found the synopsis, and the synopsis was for a thriller, a dark thriller. But then I started writing the book when I got an agent and she wanted to see the rest of it. And I started writing it. It just went off in this completely different direction, which was this very quirky, very blokey romantic comedy, very 90s. Um, and that was what made me, that was what launched me into the world. But so clearly, from the fact that I had originally started this book expecting it to be a thriller, that was always in me. And once I'd created a profile as being a well-loved and successful, may I say the word, but also I don't want to say it, the chick lit thing,
Yeah.
writer back in the
Ugh.
day. You can't just break out of that. You can't just say, well, oh, I've done really well. Now I'm just going to write my thriller. So it was always there. And I just had to choose my moment. And I did it really gradually and really, really slowly because I didn't want to lose any of my readers. I didn't want to frighten my publishers. I didn't want to set a foot wrong. And Vicky says she's read all my books, and you probably see it's quite seamless going from one book to the next, just leaving the romance a little bit behind, stepping a little bit into the darkness of family dynamics and secrets, and then kind of gradually moving into killing people. And now I'm in full blown psycho world of the darkest people that you could possibly imagine. So yeah, it was. I didn't wake up one morning and think that's it. I'm not going to write romance anymore. I want to write a thriller. It just happened. I was very lucky that people let me do it as well. Nobody ever told me to stop. So thank goodness.
So it wasn't a strategy. It
Not
was
a,
it was
nothing
just a
in my
gradual
life is
kind
a
of
strategy.
evolution.
There's not one thing in my
You
life is
always
a
say that.
strategy. I don't do strategy. No, it was a totally natural evolution. I just followed my gut and followed the things I wanted to write about. And luckily, no editor ever said, stop. No reader ever said stop. And so I was able to just evolve naturally in that way without anybody really noticing I was doing it. Thank goodness.
So really, it was because probably the packaging didn't change, and then the packaging did change, and that's
Yes.
what almost made it look like a pivot.
Yes, that's precisely right. And I never even thought about it like that. I do know that going between writing the romantic comedies and into writing full-blown domestic thrillers, I had a few books in the middle that were non-genre. And I have to say, writing non-genre novels is amazing because you can write about anything you like and no rules apply, and you can just indulge yourself and write about any scenario you want to write about. But it's really, really hard to publish, really hard to publish. And I kept delivering these books to my publishers, and the struggles of finding the right cover image, the right vibe, the right way of selling it into the bookshops, the right way of selling it to readers was very, very, very challenging for them. And the minute I wrote something that was dark enough to put a thriller jacket on it, they were off. Like, okay, cool. Right.
Oh,
We
we
don't need
know
to
what
have
to do
these
with this.
struggles
Yeah.
anymore with how the hell are we going to package this book that's not really about anything in particular. It's non-genre. So you're right. The minute they were able to put one of those jackets on the front because it had gone dark enough, that's probably exactly what you're talking about. The perception just shifted. It's like, oh, she's writing thrillers now.
Yeah.
Whereas actually the gap between the book that came before that and the first one that was jacketed like that, probably in terms of themes and vibe and darkness, wasn't that dissimilar.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? But so talking of how dark you've got, I mean, Don't Let Him In is I've noticed that every time I interview you, I say you just keep getting darker and darker. And we last, I think we spoke at it was Edinburgh, wasn't it, where we were talking
That's
about
right.
none of this is true. And I was looking at my notes, and it was like, oh, and this is your darkest one yet. And here we are. This is your darkest one yet. And I have to hold the spine up because, like I said, they didn't send
Oh
me a
yeah.
finished copy, so I've got this. I've still got this proof. Um, so, where do you? I'm not going to ask you where you get your ideas from, but what was the kind of the seed, of the inspiration? But where did you start with this? Did you start with the creepy guy? Where did you start?
Yeah, it was very much. So a lot of my books come from things that are really, really hard for me to pinpoint or explain, or even for me to understand what the inspiration for the book was. But this was very clear. This was absolutely going through years of watching documentaries on Netflix about guys who behave like this, listening to podcasts about guys who is. I should add at this point, it's not only guys who behave like this. I've listened to plenty of podcasts and watched plenty of documentaries about female scammers as well, but they don't do the romance scamming. They have different ways of
Yeah.
scamming. And then I read a memoir called The Psychopath by Mary Turner Thompson. I don't know if you've read it. I don't know if anyone's read
Oh
it.
no, I love the sound of that.
It's her memoir of being married to a guy like the guy in this book. Um, and it's brilliant. I mean, she's a brilliant writer, and her experience is extraordinary. And the extraordinary thing is how clever she is. She's a proofreader and an editor. She's super clever. She's super great. She comes from a wonderful family, and yet she let this guy in from nowhere. This guy just appears in her life from nowhere, and the red flags are flying, but he's promising her a future that she wants. And it's really, really hard to separate somebody offering you a future that you want to, strange behavior. It's easy to look at it and think, well, why on earth is she not asking him more questions? Why on earth is she letting him back in the house when he comes back after a 6-day absence with some cock and bull story about where he's been? But so it's a brilliant, brilliant memoir, and everyone should read it. But frustrating in its lack of insight into what makes him tick, and that's not her fault.
Mm.
That's because these
It's
men
her
can't.
memoir. Yeah.
Yeah, it's her memoir, and these men are never accountable for anything they do. They can never explain why they do what they do, and I just thought maybe if I spent some time in the head of a man like this, I might get a little bit of insight into what motivates a man to make their life so complicated
Mm.
to hurt people. And so often in these cases, in the case of the memoir that I read, he's not targeting like rich millionaires in the south of France, millionaire widows in the south of France. He's targeting normal women who haven't got any money and just creaming off whatever he can from them, be it a fiver or £1,000, or, he's not doing big scamming. This is small level scamming. And I knew I wanted my guy to be a small fry scammer. I knew I didn't want him to be like jetting off and, taking ladies on helicopters and all that sort of business. I knew I wanted it to be low level because I can only write about low level things. And why, when you could easily just apply yourself to having a normal life, enjoying the relationship with the wonderful, wonderful woman that you're fortunate enough to have found yourself with, and get a job and make some money and build a life. But instead, these men operate in these extraordinarily convoluted, complicated, dangerous, horrible, heartless ways. So that's why I wanted to write this book. So I wanted to try and understand. And I can tell you, I got to the end of the book and I still didn't understand. And yes, Fake by Stephanie Wood. I didn't read the book, but I did watch the Australian dramatization, the adaptation of her memoir. Again, a very, very similar story. And there were lots of parallels between Fake and my book, I'm going to say. Very, very similar. Yeah, the dramatization was fantastic. It was a really, really definitely one to watch. It's on ITV2 or ITV Plus or one
I
of the
think
ITV.
it's on it's on the ITV app now because
Yeah.
she wrote a piece for the Shift. Oh, it's a few weeks. Well, do you know what? It's probably a few months ago now. It's like, where's this year gone? But so you actually wanted to spend time in his head.
I wanted to understand, and I didn't at the end. I still left that character behind in the final chapters and just thought, no. In fact, I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I wrote an original ending where I threw all this psychology at him and all these. I couldn't bear to leave the book and not have an explanation for why he behaved like that for the duration of the book. So I wrote this chapter for him that I hoped would explain his behaviors. And I came back to it after I'd written it. I thought, what a load of bullshit. That's absolute nonsense. So I rewrote the ending, and we won't talk about the ending here because not everybody's read it. So I rewrote the ending to reflect much more what I think is the reality of men like this is that they don't have souls or hearts. They're just, I don't understand. But it was every bit as interesting, frustrating, fun, empty and cruel. Exactly. They're just empty and cruel. That's entirely correct. Um,
Vicky said that what she found shocking was the trail of children. Was
oh, the
that
children,
typical
yes.
in your kind
Yes.
of in your serious true in your true
Years
crime
of
research?
research.
Was it
Yeah.
typical?
Yes,
Was the
typical of
trail of
them.
children typical?
And quite
Wow.
often they're the ones that fight to have the children, because then they know that the woman will be more beholden
And the
to
woman's kind of more trapped.
that. And then, no, absolutely, they will walk off into the sunset, escape from the mess that they've made, and leave the children behind too. That's totally and utterly normal. Yeah. Yeah, empty and cruel. I think it sums it up very perfectly.
Yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
but he was so much fun to write. Having said all that, he was so much fun to write, and I write him, as you know, if you've been reading it in the first person. And we jump straight into his head very early on in the book. We see him waking up in bed with his wife at the time, 4 years earlier, and smelling her scalp and being slightly disgusted by the smell. But then at the same time telling her, giving her the my darling, I love you so much. But we know as a reader that he finds the smell of her slightly repellent. So we're straight in there in his head. And from the minute I wrote that scene, I thought, okay, here we go. This is going to be fun.
I think the smell thing is really interesting and really clever because you use it all the way through and it's really visceral.
Yeah.
Like the when he's I think it's okay to say about the stalking
Yeah.
and that kind of
That because that's quite early, isn't it? The street stalking, yes.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that kind of like having a good sniff and everything. It's
Smelling their
so
hair. Yeah.
creepy.
Well,
It's
maybe it's
so
he's kind of
creepy.
like an animal then, isn't he? He's like a dog, basically. He's
Oh, poor dog. That's like you're cruel to dogs.
yeah. Oh yeah. How did I find it being in his head when I sorry, I'm doing your job for you, Sam.
No, you just go ahead. They'd
um,
rather hear you than me.
so this is really interesting because I'm a very straight up person. I'm not very good at fudging the truth. I'd always if I'm in a situation where I think, oh, I could get out of this situation by telling a white lie, I can't do that because it messes with my head, and then it will stay with me for the rest of my life that I made a white lie, and then I'm going to have to live with the consequences of having made that white lie. And what if I get tripped up? And what if somebody, like, mentions it 5 years down the line, and I say that the wrong thing that reveals the fact that I did a what anyway? So my head works like that, and I can't lie. And I had to spend 9 months in the head of a man who lies constantly and consistently, and everything he says is a lie. And I thought I would find that really challenging. Um, but what I established from writing this character and spending all this time and doing his MO, I was having to do his MO for him. I was having to put him in a situation where he'd done something ridiculous, like disappear for 3 days with his phone switched off, and then bring him back. And I had to have an excuse for him that a woman could conceivably believe, if she wanted to. And so I had to do what he wasn't doing that. I was doing that. And I was staggered to find out what a brilliant liar I would be were I comfortable with the concept of lying. Because I didn't have to struggle to find these things. I would come to the page and think, okay, he's coming home now. What on earth is he going to say to Martha? And then I would
Yeah,
just write it, and it would just be, gosh, okay, that's actually quite convincing.
that's quite plausible. And
Yes,
the
yeah.
way you have him with his, he's constantly welling up, isn't he?
I know the
It's
eyes, the
like, oh, the
tears.
eyes, the
Yes, and I have
smile.
I have had a lot of people message me on Instagram who've read the book, who've been through this experience, and have said that, the way I wrote about it very closely mirrored their own experience. And a couple of women have written and said their men did exactly that. The waterworks, whenever things were getting a
Mm.
bit close to the edge of maybe the woman asking too many questions, or saying there's going to be consequences, for the way you've been behaving, that the waterworks would come out. And yeah, so that's kind of
Wow.
a classic behavioral thing as well.
Oh, it's so, I mean, it's such a brilliant depiction of gaslighting. It's like, oh, it really did make me feel
Yeah.
extremely uncomfortable.
Did you hate
Yeah.
him? I've had so many messages from people who genuinely hated him, viscerally hated him.
Yeah, I hate his guts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you hate his guts. Cool.
But he also makes it, but I'm very conscious I had a visceral reaction to him. He made me feel very uncomfortable, like slightly look over my shoulder.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, I am good. Sorry, I know that there are questions here.
Yeah,
I am going
Zoe's
to ask
question looked
them.
really interesting. I couldn't see the bottom of it, and I wanted to.
Yeah, hang on a minute. I just wanted to say I treated myself to an audiobook listen earlier today, and I now also hate Richard Armitage.
Oh no! Oh no! I reckon Richard would be flattered by that. I think he would take that as a
Yeah,
huge compliment.
he's
But yes, he did it
done
so
a really good job. Yeah, we'll
really
ask
good.
Zoe's first, but Helen, I haven't forgotten your question, and we're going to talk about it because it's really interesting. Um, like Zoe says, the key there is the lies. They're believable if you want them to be. And as I said, for us as readers, I was really Martha. Yeah, you're right in there
Yes,
with the female characters going, well, you can see why they would
yeah,
believe it.
and that's right, because you want them to.
And you
You want it
kind
to
of
be
need
true. You
Ash,
want
that
it to
voice
be
of
true.
reason.
Yeah.
Is that why you had the daughters
Yes.
being the ones who saw through them? Because you've kind of literally, I mean, it's so masterful. I'm like, it's really sucking up to you. I'm not, I don't, she hasn't paid me
I
any
don't
money.
mind.
But honestly, it's so masterful. Yeah, thank God for Ash. The way that you have him dismiss really plausible questions.
Oh,
And you
like, yeah, when
find,
Ash is talking to him about the contents of his pocket. Oh no, she's
yeah,
found the contents of his pocket. She's found a baby dummy clip and a
yeah, and his
doggy
doggy
poo
bag.
bag. And she thinks she's going to trip him up. And he knows that she's been in his pocket. So he's immediately there with oh, yes, no, I walk my neighbour's dog, and he's lovely. He's a little Shiba Inu, or whatever he was. And oh, they've got a little boy as well, Max. Yes, I sometimes, it's just, then you've
Yeah.
got nothing to, he's given her nothing. It's just, she can't then ask him another question because he's answered everything. And
And
it's,
you did that effortlessly.
well, this is what I'm saying. I'm a really good liar.
Yeah. Yeah. Has Yasha read it?
No, he does audio, and he always listens to my book when we go to Tenerife every, well, it used to be October during school half term, but we don't have school half terms anymore. So we're going in November, and that's his traditional time for listening to my latest book. So he'll be listening to it in Tenerife in November, and yeah, looking forward to seeing what he thinks about it.
Elena said it's interesting how being handsome and expensively dressed somehow just made him more trustworthy.
Oh, totally. Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I really, really wanted, as a writer, to find him attractive. I needed to find him physically attractive in order to be able to understand why these women, because in fact, with the memoir that the psychopath, um, I didn't want to Google anything until I got to the end. And then at the end I Googled and I saw a picture of him and I was like, oh, God, he wasn't even good
Yeah.
looking, because she described him on the page as being really hot. And then I saw him and I just thought, God, he's not even good looking. And that just really made me just, I don't know. So it was very important to me that he had to be really good looking, the sort of man that most women would find attractive. And yeah, you're right. You do. People trust you if you're good looking. People trust you if you wear nice clothes, as shallow as it is. But yes, that was a very deliberate choice.
Laurie is saying she really loved the daughters. I mean, yeah, Ash
Yes,
is
Tara's
such
daughter was Emma. It was Emma, wasn't it?
Emma,
And
yeah.
Ash. Yeah. And then even like Martha had there's a scene where Martha goes for lunch with her friend at Christmas. And her friend,
Yes.
oh yeah, it's her friend who tells her to put the tracker in the car. And her friend who says, oh, thank God, I thought he was going to be one of those guys that you see on the television, those ones who scam loads of women out of there. So there were lots of people with voices on the periphery of everything. But this is the thing, it's really, really hard in uh on when you're on the outside of a romantic relationship to ever breach
Mm.
the line into the inside of somebody's romantic relationship. It's one of the hardest things you could possibly do, is to step over that line and say, I'm not sure about him. I really, it's, you're pissing on someone's parade. You're this is somebody's great love affair. This is somebody, the father of somebody's child. This is somebody's future, and you can't just do that. So all these women are sort of tiptoeing around the edge of this thing because they know they can't just jump in. And in fact, at the beginning, when Tara's daughter Emma, we only meet Tara's daughter Emma when things have gone so far that Tara is ready to kick him out. And that she's been waiting in the wings for 4 years to say something to this man, but she couldn't
Mm.
till her mother saw him for who he really was when he's caught doing the street stalking. And then finally, Emma can walk into the house with her arms crossed and tell him to fuck off. Yeah. But she spent 4 years just pussyfooting around, and it's really difficult. People's relationships are really, really sacrosanct, and it's really hard to cross that line.
Yeah, and we've all had those friends they've split up with their boyfriend or their partner, and you've gone, oh, thank God, I always hate him. And then they get back
And then they
together, and
get
you're
back
like,
together.
oh
Exactly.
no, where do we go from
Exactly.
here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Um,
exactly right.
you were talking about the voices, all of the peripheral voices. So it's probably a good point to go back to Helen's question, which was about your process and plotting. And I sort of know the answer to this, but I think
Yeah.
this would be really interesting for the book club, which is that, I mean, you've got several timelines. You've got Ash and Martha and Nina and Tara and Emma, and then some more later on.
Yes.
And then you've got Nick, and you've got first person and third person. Um, have I covered everything?
That's about right.
So how do you manage all of that? Like Helena said, is your wall covered in post-it
No.
notes?
Oh God, no. And so then I feel surprised when readers pick it up, and I think quite a lot of readers have struggled with the first half of this book, or the first third of this book, in terms of piecing it all together and working out who's who and how it all works. Because while I'm writing it, it just feels very uncomplicated when I'm writing. I have a pattern when I'm writing, and I will always write from uh two or three people's points of view, sometimes even four. and I rotate them. So I'll go character A, character B, character C, character A, character B, character C. And so if character A is in a different timeline, it's still character A. So I'm not thinking, I mean, obviously there were technical things, challenges, because we meet Nick 4 years before the story starts. But I knew all along that as I was writing his storyline, that it was eventually going to catch up with the storyline of the modern day, of the current day. So that seemed fairly straightforward to me. It's just like we'll just have to like, speed time up so that he gets to catch up with the others. And then the other two was neat. No, not was it, no, it was Ash and Martha. They were just character two and character. It to me it simplifies the process, because I kind of always know what I'm supposed to be doing next. So if I've just written character two, I know that that chapter has to lead into character three, which is really helpful because then I know what kind of what action I need to build in, what storylines I need to build in, so that when I get to the end of character two's chapter, I'm ready to start again with character three. And quite often I won't know what character three is up to until I get there, and then I'll, find a place to put them and start a conversation or put them in a situation. And but I'm not explaining this very well.
No,
It
you
doesn't
are. You are.
it just doesn't feel complicated. It feels quite ordered and not formulaic at all, because I don't as you know, I write without a plot, and I certainly haven't got any post-it notes on the wall. But it feels solid. I'm going to say it feels solid. I feel like I always know what I'm supposed to be doing. Um, so the fact that then people read it and find it really complicated, I that's probably on me. That I was finding it, I wasn't explaining it well enough, or I don't know. I'd be
No, I
interested to
don't.
know how many people in on my
Yeah.
moment did struggle with those early chapters and did have to. People have sent me photographs of like pieces of paper where they were writing down all the characters and
Oh gosh.
all the connections and stuff to help them through. Um,
Um, yeah, did anyone here? I know Mel says
no.
she found it straightforward. Um, I know Tanya who can't
Oh,
come
good. There we go.
tonight. She said she did take her a little while to get into it. Um, but like James, like she immediately loved it and didn't find it a struggle. And I wasn't saying it wasn't that it was
Oh,
complicated. It was
cool.
more that I was looking at it from a point of view of a writer, thinking, how do you keep all these balls in the air?
Yeah.
Because we had someone on before who writes all the strands separately and then interweaves them, which does strike me. I could understand it because one was going backwards and one was going forwards, and she needed them to
Right.
meet in the middle. But
Okay.
in a way, that is, yeah, most people were like, no, no issue at all. So
Yeah. I just
it
like that
that's more
flow, that little,
complicated.
it's little chunks. It's chunk, 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 and the chunks have to sort of work together, and somehow it all sort of knits itself together as I'm making those little chunks, rather than writing a whole stream of something and then having to retrofit it
Yeah,
into,
cut it all up.
cut it all up. And then, because another thing, and I think what one thing that I like doing as a writer, and I certainly think my readers like it, is I like to have an energy that exists between the last paragraph of a chapter and the first paragraph of the next one. Because what I want my reader to do is
Yes.
turn the page onto the next chapter and immediately want to read the next chapter. So if I was writing it all in one chunk and one strip and then chopping it up into chunks, I'd miss those little moments of energy, those little
Yeah, yeah,
kinetic
that
sort of
makes perfect
things.
sense. Yeah.
Um, so yes, so that's something that I do deliberately, and I wouldn't be able to do that. Why is my daughter calling me? Go away. Sorry. Um,
Yeah.
if it's an emergency, you can call your father. Um,
Yeah, you're still top of the phone tree even now.
so yes, that's why I could never write it in that way. Um, and I'm always really impressed by the way that other writers write, because it always seems really difficult to me. And maybe this is what we're talking about. That seems really difficult to me, to write
Mm,
things and then sort of Another thing that always strikes me as being really difficult that other writers do so well, and I don't know how they do it, is to write an entire story from one person's point of view. Because how do you feed in all that information and all those different elements and all those different dynamics? And how can you see things how can you write a whole story when you're only seeing things from one person's point of view? That I always think is a genius thing to be able to do. So I guess, but then
Yes.
they would say, I wouldn't be able to write a book the way you do. I'd find that really difficult. So
Yeah, they'd say I wouldn't be able to get into all those characters' heads.
yeah,
So I know that you don't do any planning.
none
So
whatsoever.
so if you did you literally, when you sat down to write Don't Let Him In, you had, what did you have? You had all this like research that you'd been doing on
Yes,
Netflix. Was that
yes.
literally it? No
I had,
characters, no
all
plan,
right, I'll tell you
nothing.
what I had. I had a house. So the house factoid for the day, the house that Nina and Ash lives in is my house. I own that house.
Yeah,
And
we
I
hate
bought
you even more
yeah.
now.
I bought it about 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I've always wanted to set a book in the house. It's just a very, yes, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous house. I'm
Is
very
that
lucky.
the house that at Then She Was Gone bought?
Yes, did I tell you that?
No,
So
but I just guessed that I
I
assumed that
just,
was the
yeah,
book that made you
yeah, a
go
quick
stratospheric, wasn't
share.
it?
Then She Was Gone was an old book, and it went viral during lockdown in 2020 for a variety of reasons, one of which was to do with a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills. It went viral and it ended up being #1 in the New York Times bestseller list for 10 weeks. And it was in the New York Times bestseller for, I think, 40 weeks that year. And I got a massive royalty check as a result of that. I've never had anything like perform like that ever since, ever. No, that was a one off anomaly. But I got this massive royalty check and I wanted to buy a house. So I bought this amazing house by the seaside. And that is the house where Nina and Ash live. And I knew I wanted to write a story set in that house from the minute I bought it. And I just knew that this was the book for it. And as I had that idea, I thought I just had this image for some I my guy was originally going to be a lot more low key and a lot less glamorous. And I was trying to imagine what sort of job he might have. And originally he was going to be like a delivery driver, like a prime delivery driver or something. And I had this image in my mind of a man in a van turning up to this beautiful white house by the sea with something. And he looks through the window and sees that there's oh, for God's sake, there's a funeral going on. Um, and
Like your
sorry, my
daughter.
daughter is now phoning me again. Can't
Do you
talk
want to
now.
take it?
No, I've just done that
No.
auto reply thing. Um, and that would be the starting point. And he would be the guy, and he would see that there was a funeral going on. And then I thought, oh, what about it should be flowers if it's a funeral? And then I thought he'd be in a florist van, and that was all I had. So a guy turns up, pulls up outside of a big white house, hands over a bunch of flowers to a family who are grieving the loss of the father of the house, and that's it. Genuinely, genuinely didn't know. But the fact that he was in a florist van, I thought, well, maybe he's married to a florist, maybe, or maybe this current woman that he's scamming, maybe she's actually a florist and he's married to her at the moment and he's scamming her, but he's got his eye on Nina for some reason, whatever it is. And I hadn't quite worked out why he was going to target Nina. And then I started writing about Nina's and Paddy, and I kind of just completely what's the word? Oh, randomly decided that he should be a restaurateur just for no particular reason. And then I thought, oh, well, maybe he knew him when they were working in restaurants. So this is how it just gets pieced together just from this one
Mm.
idea of a van turning up outside a house. Everything sort of starts growing shoots and branches and just turns into a proper book.
Yeah, like Laurie said, it is such a realistic way for a creep to start because you get so much info just from that delivery.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why I knew that that's how I wanted the book to start. But yeah, the rest of it was just as much of a unexpected journey for me as it was for you. But
Yeah, I
obviously,
mean, I
I knew there'd be other women. I knew that I would be starting with him targeting the woman in the White House. Then I realised he was married to a florist. But I knew, obviously, as the story progressed, that more and more stories. I didn't know.
yeah,
I
there'd be
tell
a
you what, I didn't know.
trail.
I did not know he was going to be a street stalker, and I did not know what he was. We haven't talked about what he does for a living
Oh,
because
and
all
there's
along. I'm sending him away for days on end. And I, as the writer, had no idea where he was. I didn't know where he was. I didn't know what he was doing. And then I got to a point about halfway through the book where I thought I've got to tell the readers where is he? What is he doing? I've been making up all these amazing lies for him, but what is he actually doing? And yeah, then I came up with this perfect job for him, which was as much of a surprise to me as it was to anyone.
So, because Helen has asked about that, she's asked if you did research. Yeah, and like Helen, she doesn't bother to do any research unless it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Um, I'm saying, is it common in the UK? I think it is. No,
what? What?
I mean, not that I've
Mail?
tried it.
Oh, you
Yeah,
can
we're okay to
absolutely.
say, aren't we? I don't know.
I'm right. I've
Chloe,
just
where
seen what
have
my
you got
daughter wants.
to?
I know this is so right. I've just seen what my daughter wants. It's going to take me 2 seconds.
That's
Right.
right.
Any mums out there will know what I'm doing. 967 246 967 246.
Are you paying for something?
Yeah, giving her a
Presumably.
code. That's it. Giving her a code.
Right.
Right, that's got rid of her. Sorry about that.
I don't know if it's a spoiler, Helen. It depends where
Oh, what
you've.
was the
It
question?
doesn't. Well, Helen asked the question about his job, about whether
Oh,
you.
I don't. It's not a
I
spoiler in
don't think so
terms of
'cause
the
it doesn't
story, but it's a
matter, does it?
spoiler in terms of it's quite fun when you first find out what he does. Because he's in the middle of doing it when you first find out what he does as well. So,
That's true.
and it
Yeah,
is
that is
well
true.
from yeah, it's a
Yeah,
surprise.
not a
Exactly. It's
spoiler, a
not a spoiler.
surprise.
It's a
Yeah.
surprise. That's exactly right. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Vicky is saying the house is such a strong character. Do you think you'll set another book
Oh,
there?
I don't know, but talking of that, of repeating characters, um, I am uh, reusing a character from Don't Let Him In. In fact, I have already reused her for my new book, which I just finished writing. So Jane Trevally, who is
Oh,
Paddy's
the girlfriend,
girlfriend,
Paddy's ex.
Paddy's ex, who helps Ash in her investigation, is I really loved her. I loved writing her so much. I felt very connected to her, and she isn't on the page very much, and I felt quite frustrated by how little time I got to spend with her. So she's the main character of my next book, which I've just finished writing.
Oh, brilliant. Can you
So
tell
not
us
the
anything
same
about
house,
that?
but Jane, yeah.
Same world. Can you tell us anything?
Oh, I love a repeat character. And this is the thing, I know my readers love repeat characters and I should do it more often. And because I can tell from the response I've had from people how much readers love repeat characters. I can tell you that it is, well, we're just a small group, aren't we? When is this going to be broadcast? Not broadcast. When is it going up on your Substack?
Well, I will send it out on the Substack this week.
Okay,
Tell us a
because we're
little
supposed to be
bit.
doing a title reveal. You know how everything is reveals, cover reveals, and
Oh, yeah, everything's revealed. You don't have to tell us the title unless the
okay,
title
I won't
is.
tell you the title, but it is pertinent to the theme of the book. Anyway, so Jane, she lives in this crumbling old estate down in Dorset, and she's out in the land with her 4 dogs, walking the dogs, and suddenly this white Westie appears. This little scruffy white dog appears, and it's lost. And she takes it to the vet, the local vet, who scans the chip and tells her that this dog belongs to somebody in London. So Jane says, "Oh, that's very near my stepson. I'd love to go and see my stepson. I'll take the dog to the owner." So she goes to London, picks up her stepson. They walk towards this house together. It's a house in Hampstead in the Vale of Health, which I don't know if anybody knows the Vale of Health in Hampstead. It's very atmospheric and very unique little enclave in the wilds of Hampstead Heath. And as she's walking towards the house, she suddenly knows that she's been here before, and she realizes that it's the house where she was taken to this house by a man she met in a bar in her 20s. And when she got there, she suddenly realized that he was going to drug her and possibly rape her or murder her. And she gets spider senses and she makes her excuses and she leaves. But now she's found out there's something really dark going on at this house as well. A girl's gone missing from this house. So she goes into private investigator mode to try and uncover the secrets. Goosebumps,
Oh,
eh?
brilliant. Yeah,
It is,
look, everybody's
yeah,
like, everybody's really
yeah.
into that
It
already.
is really, it is really goosebumpy and creepy and really, really dark, but not quite in the psychological way that none of this is true and Don't Let Him In have been. This is much more about the story is creepy rather than there's not a central character who's going to make you feel uncomfortable. The whole scenario is going to make you feel uncomfortable. And Jane is a safe pair of hands. So half the time you're with Jane and she's just fun. And she's a safe space in the book, but the other half is just her discovering the secrets of this house and how close she had actually been when she was a young woman to a very, very, very nasty fate. But yeah, so creepy in a different way.
You are, I mean, again, another fabulous house, a fabulous
I
location.
love the houses. I
And you
love
the
the
family
houses.
remains. I
Oh
mean,
God,
that
yes, the
house was,
houses.
yeah, you're so good at that.
Yeah,
And the house in, what was it? Oh God, was it called The Girls?
the girls
The,
was a
G-
communal garden,
yeah, that was like a
which is
house of
like
that, that was just your communal garden,
that's
isn't
just
it?
I'm pointing. You've seen my communal garden,
Yeah.
so you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, so the girls was a communal garden in London. I know all my books have lovely. I love writing about houses. I love houses. I love just walking around looking at houses. I love like those free magazines that get dropped through your letterbox with all the beautiful property adverts. I love Rightmove. I love just that's what I do when I'm writing in order to keep everything flowing because obviously you can't just keep writing and it's very easy to break off as you know and you know waste time doing things that are not very helpful to the pursuit of writing. And I found that the best thing for me to do when I need to break off from writing is do a Rightmove property search, just a random one, and look at houses for a while, and then I can just move seamlessly back to the book, and it's sort of very sort of symbiotic. Looking at houses, writing my book, looking at houses, writing my book. The whole thing just seems to fit
Yeah.
together.
Well, it's
Obsessed
really
with
working.
houses.
It's really working for you. I mean, Jane has just asked a question about your Jessica Jones book. Are
Oh,
you in a hurry to plunge back into Marvel
no.
world?
So I when I talk about my when over the last few years when I've really hit my stride and I've really found my happy place with writing and I've got grown in so much confidence since the early years of my career and I really embrace the way I write, embrace the chaos, enjoy it and kind of think I've got the hang of it, which means that when I start writing a book, I don't get scared if I feel like it's not working. I just embrace the fear and do it anyway. And just thought I'd got to this part of my writing career where I was just on it. And then I wrote this book. So I was commissioned to, for those who don't know, I was commissioned by Disney Books to write a full-length crime novel for Marvel using a Marvel Universe character, which I would have said no to because I'm not a Marvel fan, except they offered me Jessica Jones as my character, who I was very familiar with because I'd watched all her TV shows and absolutely brilliant character. And I knew I would enjoy writing about her. So I said yes, thinking this would be such a fun project. So it took me 5 months to write None of This Is True. It took me 9 months to write Don't Let Him In. It took me 14 months to write my Jessica Jones novel. I rewrote it 3 times. I have as many words that I cut out of it as ended up in the final draft of the book. It made me miserable. It made me ill. It made me so unhappy. I didn't know what I was doing. I was lost. It was just, I think it was a really good thing for me at that point in my career to remember that writing isn't easy. Um,
Yeah.
and
Why did it have that impact? Was it because you were basically presented with a book, you know, the guidebook to the character in the world?
no, the character in the world was fine. What I had done was I'd had this brilliant idea. The book would be a bit of a broken mirror type thing where Jessica Jones is asked by the mother of teenage twins to investigate what happened to her teenage twins when they spent the summer in the UK with their father because they've come back and they've changed. They haven't. They're perfect. They're not the same as they were, and so the the malign technology that I was wanting to write about was like, oh, imagine a filter on your camera. Imagine if you could put a filter on your actual self. So this is what has happened. They have been to the UK and they've been guinea pigs in this kind of um, project to bring filters into the real world. Brilliant. It's such a great idea. I had to explain that. I had to explain how this works. And that was what was difficult. It was nothing to do with the Marvel Universe. It was nothing to do with Jessica Jones. She was a dream to write about. I absolutely loved writing her. It was, I've had this crazy broken mirror, fantastic conceptual idea, and I don't know how to explain it. How did they invent it? Who invented it? Where was it done? Why was it done? What's the motivation? Is it a baddie in a cellar underneath the, I just, it was, so it just went through various iterations. Um, the first iteration was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. I went so far off the deep end into what was possible in a world where, the usual parameters don't exist, that I just wrote myself into utter nonsense. And then it was the last draft I realized I needed to write about all the stuff I normally write about. So I just thought there's no reason why this has to be crazy people with superpowers or crazy scientists. This could just be normal people who've invented this.
Yeah, they
And
came to you because they loved your work after all.
oh yeah, absolutely. So once I did that, I thought, well, let's just make this about normal people who've got dark motivations and traumas, and yeah. And then it was fine. But God, what a nightmare! What a nightmare! And then nobody bought it. So there you go.
Oh, I did. A few
Oh,
of
thanks,
us
Sam.
did. No, I really enjoyed it, but I know we've talked before that you didn't, it wasn't a load of fun
It wasn't
to
a load of
do.
fun, but I think it was humbling, and I think it was good for me to recognise that just because I have now hit my stride writing domestic thrillers, it doesn't mean that I'm a brilliant writer. It just means I write books that bring out the best of me, and it's yeah, and it
I
just
think you're
made me
pretty
even
good.
more appreciative of being in my comfort zone. And I wrote "Don't Let Him In" on the back of writing the Jessica Jones book. I was just frantic. I was so desperate to start writing it. It's like, get me out of here. I want to go and write my book about the serial romance scammer. I want to be writing that scene where he pulls up in his van outside the White House and just get away from this whole crazy Marvel thing. But it was an experience.
I want to know why have we not had any Lisa Jewell movies? Because
Oh,
there's nothing that Harlan Coben can do that you can't do better, frankly.
yeah, it's a mystery to me. It really is. And bearing in mind that I've been having books optioned since the year 1999 when Mouse Party came out. It was under option with a TV production company, and I sat in a room with all these very overexcited TV producers telling me about what they were going to do and who they were going to cast and how amazing it was going to be. And then that didn't happen. And then it's just happened continuously. I'm in a room with people, I'm in a Zoom with people, I'm on the phone on conference calls to people who are just fizzing with excitement and enthusiasm. And they want it so badly. And they've got all these plans and dreams. And nothing ever happens. I don't know. I really genuinely don't know, because as everyone in my team says, once they make one, then I think it
Yeah,
will
then they'll make the lot.
break the seal, and then yeah, then they'll
Yeah.
make. So I don't know
Be-
why it hasn't
Because
happened.
weren't Netflix gonna adapt None of This Is
They
True?
they have. I mean, this is good. This is the furthest. Is this the furthest? The closest? I don't know. They have a writer who's written the screenplay, and we're now at the third draft of the screenplay. We're coming up for 2 years since I signed the contract. In December, it will be 2 years since I signed on for this, and we're still looking at drafts of the screenplay. Haven't even got close to production or casting or directors or anything like that. So I don't know how people can work in the film industry. I really don't know how they can do it. It's just
No.
so mind-bogglingly slow and frustrating, and people invest so much time and money into things that are never going to happen, which I don't know how you can work like that, but they feed off that energy. It's not my kind of energy. I like publishing. You write a book, Somebody publishes a book, somebody buys a book. Simple.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah.
the idea, somebody was saying to me the other day that, you know, if a project gets into development, which they very rarely do anyway, it's typically a 7-year process. It's like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
my God.
I know, and I can't be. I almost want to just say to my film people, just don't ask me about it. Just you go away and do it. But they always want to meet you. The producers always want to meet the
Yeah.
right and find out who you are and find out how you tick. So I do end up getting dragged into it, and I find it really frustrating. But yeah, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it's yeah. I have a wonderful career. Um,
Well, I am looking forward to when Netflix actually do it and it opens the floodgates because then we're going to have the
yes,
whole lot.
the whole
Uh,
lot. Yeah, do a Harlan, do a Harlan. Yeah.
do if you've got any more questions for Lisa, do chuck them in.
Oh,
We've
it's 51 in there. We can't have answered all of those. We
There's
answered.
comments though,
Oh, they're
lots of comments.
comments. They're
And
not
this
all questions. Right.
we just go back. If I've missed your question, bump it up for me, stick it at the bottom so that because I'm too lazy to go all the way back. Um, Lisa, I want to ask you, because you have a little bit of a reputation for being, oh
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
like
that's a
a
good
load of
point. Yeah,
sisters
there you
like
go. Exactly.
Marion. Yeah,
Yes,
finally.
bloody hell.
And I bet that was because finally the Walsh sisters are on RTE. I wish that they
Yeah.
would. I hope they're going to come to you for England and Scotland and Wales. But I'm sure that was just because of Bad Sisters as well. I'm sure they went, oh, Irish
Yes.
sisters. There you
Yeah.
go. There's some
There you
more
go.
Irish
There's
sisters.
some more Irish sisters for you.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
exactly that. Then Grown Ups is coming on Netflix. So
What's grown
all of a
ups? Is that
sudden,
that's the Marion Keyes novel?
that's a
Oh, so
Marion
that's
as
a
well.
separate thing.
That's separate. And
Oh, see, it's all
Ashling B,
happening.
yeah, Ashling B. So that's it. Exactly. It's
Yeah.
like somebody buys one and then they buy loads of
Yeah.
others. So Nicola, is like you said, coming early next year, is that the Walsh sisters? Um, Excited, very excited.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, the
I
Wolf
keep seeing
sisters.
little snippets of it. It looks fabulous on Marion's.
Yeah.
It looks very good.
I'm so glad as well because it's always been mad that her
Yes,
books have been ignored in that way.
totally.
Yeah, starting
Yes.
Sunday on RTE, but
Yeah.
we can't get some of us can't get RTE, Marguerite. Yeah, totally it's snobbery. Totally it
Yes,
is.
absolutely.
Totally.
Absolutely. And you know this is going to be such a huge hit. And snobbery will.
Yeah. So and then they'll want everything, which is exactly what you were saying. Yeah, we have difficulty with BBC. I'm sure you do. Um, Lisa, you are not when somebody comments negatively on your Instagram or gives you a bad Amazon review, you're not afraid to take them on, are you? Because when we
Oh,
posted
I
that
shouldn't.
that this was the Book Club, and you kindly put it in your feed too, and like 99% of the comments were love, but there was one comment that was just basically I found the ending really disappointing.
Oh, what
And
did I say?
I can't remember what you said, but I was really like clapping. It was
I
like, yeah, because you
wouldn't
were
have
like,
been
well,
rude. I would never be rude.
oh, sorry, I digress. Marguerite, can we actually get the RTE player? Oh, I might investigate that. I'm going to be on the App Store in a minute then. Oh, that's very exciting.
I mean, it's
So
already
yes,
on. No,
it's coming on
Sunday,
RTE
Sunday.
at the weekend. But
Excellent.
if it's going to be on the RTE player, then maybe we can access it. That would be excellent. I'll have to investigate that and report back. Yeah, so taking on your critics.
I can't resist it half the time. And I do this really passive aggressive thing of responding to if it's in comments on my feed, on my page, I'll make the comment and then put like a love eye face after it or a heart. Um, I can't, and yes, I find it impossible, nearly impossible. I've got one that I've been toying with in my PMs on Instagram. I don't know what to do with it. I'm probably going to ignore it. It's just very blunt, just a lady saying your books should come with trigger warnings, and she doesn't mean it as a compliment. There's so many things I want to say to
No.
her. But I'm either going to not say anything or say I got into absolute beef with a reader. I was in Ibiza last week in this stunning hotel having breakfast with my husband, with the windows open and the view over the sea of our hotel, and I'm having beef with a reader. What did she? Oh, she tagged me. This was a
Oh, I
bookstagram
hate
who
that.
tagged me in a 2-star review of one of my books. And I just wrote to her and I said, I really wish you hadn't tagged me in this. And then we got into this big back and forth with her saying, her trying to persuade me that writers need to know when people haven't enjoyed their books because then they can work harder to make their next book better. And it's just like, that's not how it works. And I've, yes, so there's me sitting anyway. So I probably shouldn't do it half the time, but I can't resist it. Just sometimes people need a little feedback because people throw things out there into the void thinking that,
Yeah.
I don't know, I just don't think they think there's a human being on the end of it. I
No,
just
they
don't
don't
think,
think that you're a person that,
no. And sometimes if you just give them a tiny little bit of feedback, it's oftentimes they end up really, really positive, these interactions I have with readers who've been rude. I can turn it. And that's my favorite thing when I manage to turn it around.
Susan has asked if there's a topic or storyline that you fancy tackling,
A topic or
or a
topical.
storyline or something
Oh,
that you, if
I
there's
feel like I've
something
done
you've,
everything. I'm running out of things now. Like I really want to do cults, but I feel like I've done cults. I guess I could do cults in a different way. I really want to do stalking, but I feel like I've done stalking. I guess I could do that in a different way.
in a different
I
angle,
steer
yeah.
away from, I don't do politics. I just read a brilliant Claire McIntosh's new novel, which is brilliant. And the theme of it is like right-wing radicalization, which is
Ah,
works fantastically as a theme for a domestic thriller. But I would never touch that sort of thing. So all my topics and themes would be very sort of kind of essential, basic things. And I feel like I've done them all now. So if
why
anyone's
wouldn't you
got any good
touch,
ideas,
well, see, why wouldn't you touch that?
I don't, I can't, I don't, it's just not me. It's just not me to write about political or social issues.
Mm.
Although actually the book that I want to start writing, uh, so I've just finished one. I'm doing an Audible novella, original novella, which is a 40,000 word mini book, which will go straight onto Audible. And then when I finish that, I'm going to start writing my 25th novel. And it's going to start with a homeless person. I can't tell you more than that. So it's possible, depending on how the story goes, that I will address homelessness in that. And it's going to be about how this person ended up on the streets in the first place. So yeah, I could end up with some social kind of commentary in that, but I would never do it I would never choose it as a deliberately as a topic to write about. It's not my thing.
That's brilliant, Lisa. That hour has flown. It seems to go close, it seems to go quicker every single month. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for coming. It's been really brilliant, and it's really lovely to see you all getting really excited in the chat. It's like
Yes, I've loved
practically
watching these popping up. They've been brilliant. Thank you
my
everyone for
favorite bit.
wonderful comments and questions.
And so, yeah, thank you. And they're already trying to get you back for the next book. So,
Oh, we can talk about Jane Trevally. See if it was a good
yeah.
idea back. Thank you for having me. It's
Thank
so
you
lovely
so,
to see
oh,
you.
thank you so much. It was really lovely. And good night, everyone. Thanks,
Night,
Lisa. Good
everyone.
night.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.